Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros.
I want to know what the heck you guys did in North Carolina or South Carolina. Like they also blew that up in the offseason. They also made sure the media knew the Sixers are going to South Carolina for training camp, and we're I don't know what that. Like, did you play basketball down there, or did you go fishing? Like, it did, chemistry, but we need you to build chemistry like with a basketball on a basketball court. I don't know if you guys just went out to dinner and then went fishing and then hung out in nightclubs. Yeah, that's chemistry, like as far as personal relationships, but we need you to, play basketball better. So I don't know what they did in South Carolina. They came back, the season starts, and he says, we're not ready to win. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're seeing teams that just added brand new players. The New York Knicks are 3-1. The Cleveland Cavaliers don't look this bad. There's plenty of teams that added new players that look ready to win. And this team doesn't, and I don't know what they did all offseason. I don't know what they do in practice. They're 1-4. And then speaking of the roster too, we added things that we thought we needed to add. Daryl Morey added things that he thought he needed to add. I know, some people say that he added the has-been Houston Rockets, or he added a more older, slower players. That's why we keep getting out rebounded and we're bad at transition defense. And that's an opinion that people have, but the way I look at it is last year we beat the Raptors in the playoffs without PJ Tucker, Montrezl Harrell, Daniel House, DeAnthony Melton. Joel Embiid got injured. We still had a chance to beat the Miami Heat with Paul Reed and Matisse Thybulle. So you added these 4 new players and you're actually worse than you were by playing Paul Reed and Matisse Thybulle off the bench.
And if I could just
go ahead.
And if I could just add right there on that point, and if I would have told you right before the season that we would be getting this level of James Harden, along with all that, along with the additions, and you told me we're 1-4, I mean, I just couldn't believe that.
Like, maybe we didn't need to add anything. Maybe we just needed James Harden to get back into shape, Tyrese Maxey to take another step, and Joel Embiid to be healthy. And maybe, honestly, the bench was just fine because you had youth and athleticism coming off the bench. Now you gave Doc Rivers older, slower players, and what does he do? He doesn't line them up against the guys he was playing last year and say, who's better in this matchup? He says, Montrezl Harrell has played longer in the NBA. He's in the game first. He says, PJ Tucker's played longer in the NBA. He's playing for 40 straight minutes. I don't care what he looks like on the court. It's I don't know. I'm starting to think, I went down game by game in the Toronto series from last year's playoffs. Paul Reed played 10 minutes a game. He had all of the backup center minutes. Matisse Thybulle, we say what we say about his shooting, about what he does on the offensive side of the floor, how he hinders the offense. He played 15 minutes a game when he was available in that series, and we won every game that he played in. So you're trying to match youth and athleticism with youth and athleticism. Doc Rivers just went up against the Raptors last night, that same young athletic team, and said, I'm bringing George Niang and Montrezl Harrell off the bench first. I'm leaving. I don't know what. Listen, I know Matisse has his struggles shooting the ball, but I didn't expect the guy to not play a second yet in the season.
Yeah, especially when you needed to stop. But I think what you're alluding to right there, without really saying it, is, we're essentially all of us have to feel like we are making almost an excuse for why Doc Rivers is doing certain things. Yeah, we could have kept the same benches last year. Maybe with another coach, they're getting more out of them. We go and add different players. We shouldn't say, oh, well, maybe, like if Paul Reed got minutes, or if Matisse Thybulle got minutes, or if we add DeAnthony Melton this offseason and he's playing well. It doesn't matter who it is. And that's what me and you are both trying to say up here, is like, it doesn't matter who is here. It's the same result. How come last year we had stretches of games where we're just lethargic, where Joel has to drop 40 to go out and beat the Magic on a Monday night? Like, I don't understand how these things keep happening. And that's my main takeaway from the first 5 games. I'm not mad that we lost the games. I'm mad that we keep losing the same exact way. It doesn't change, and it is frustrating. And if I'm Daryl Morey right now, and I go out and get these pieces, and I get James, and I dump the Ben Simmons drama, and I put these contracts and this roster in a much more optimal position moving forward, and I really feel, and everybody's kind of emphasizing that this is, the championship hope type of year. This is the year we get over the hump. And we come out looking like this with no energy after all the hype. I mean, I got to be furious. I have to be absolutely furious, and something needs to happen, man.
Yeah, I agree. And shout out to Aaron Cat with the $5 super chat. I don't know if you can see that on your end. He said we have a 6'5" guard who can we have a 6'5" guard who can defend and shoot and pass a little bit named Shake Milton. Did he die? Did he blank Doc's wife? Where was he? Yeah. So, I understand DeAnthony Melton, playing DeAnthony Melton. I like DeAnthony Melton, but I don't think that means Shake Milton should get 0 minutes, especially the beginning of the season. This is where we're supposed to be experimenting. I want to go back to the Spurs game because it's actually funny to me that a coach that Doc Rivers compared himself to last season in a snarky little comment that he made when he asked the reporter, would you ask Greg Popovich that question? And the reporter replied and said, yes, I would. But he put himself on the level of Greg Popovich. And then game 3, Greg Popovich with nobody but, I don't even remember the guy's names, Kerryon Johnson and something Vassell.
Devin Vassell,
beats Doc Rivers. Took a team of nobodies and whooped up on Doc Rivers' $300 million team. He's like, there might have been something in Greg Popovich's back pocket there. You know what I mean? Hell, you compare yourself to me. Let me show you something real quick. I can take guys you never heard of and beat you because I'm a better coach than you. So that was interesting to me. And also, I think we're both saying that he's not getting the best out of no matter what lineup he goes with. He's not getting the best out of these players. And you said it. How do these players come to our team and suddenly they look like they lose their talent? I think we underestimate what coaching is in the NBA as far as player performance, putting players in the right positions, understanding how to get the most out of each player based on their skill sets and their potential. And I can always go back to a Paul George quote. Paul George in LA, he said, Doc Rivers was trying to use me like JJ Redick, and I'm more of a ball screen ISO guy. So even Paul George, incredibly talented triple threat scorer, felt like he was being used wrong in Doc Rivers' offense. So we can start to point to that too. I'm starting to think with a different mindset and a different energy, you will see different things from the same exact roster.
Yeah, and it continues to show itself year after year. Also, shout out to Duncan with the $5 super chat. Says you're the man, RB, but he really thanks to the poor Doc's fault. I'm not really sure what that means, but we're up here just saying the same thing, man. I mean, it's frustrating to see these results to come out of a season like this with all this hope and expectation. And, I don't want to go through the whole box score last night, but let me just say this. All right. And while I'm doing this, let us know in the chat. All right. Is Doc on the hot seat? Should he be on the hot seat already 5 games into a season? Let us know, because we're going to talk about that. But if I said to you, DJ, last night, without knowing any context, that Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, and Joel Embiid would combine for 80 against the Toronto Raptors, you would most likely think we won that game. You most likely would think we won that game, but no, we lost by 10, and it was more than that. I mean, we got dominated, and in the fourth quarter, we bring it back a little bit, and then we throw up a couple deep heaves, and the game's over. Like, again, no identity on either side of the ball. And just one thing I wanted to say about the defensive side, because we were talking about it earlier. I'm really tired of seeing Joel drop back and drop coverage. And really all the Raptors did all night was just pick us apart in the little pick and roll and shoot 10-foot mid-ranges. That's what they did all night. And anytime that happens, another man tries to cheat over, and, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, they just find the wide open shooter in the corner. I've seen that play recycled about 10 to 20 to 30 times every single game. If I can see that, if you can see that, if we can see that, do you not watch film? Do you not go back and watch the game? I've seen it many, many times. And then when Joel does decide to come up, finally, they hit him with a backdoor cut and somebody gets beat, they're sleepwalking. But really, I just want to say, I don't understand how the same things continue to happen every single game with no adjustment.
Yeah, the only explanation I can come up with is he doesn't go back and watch film with the team or anything like that, because, again, exactly what he said in the press conference, this team needs to play better. So to me, he goes in the locker room and he yells at the team in a condescending way as if he's not in charge and says, you guys need to play better. And then they come out the next game and he just hopes that they play better. Like, I don't think it seems to me like there's no actual strategy or watching film and adjusting to what you saw or anything. Like, look here, Joel, this is where you need to be a step up on the screen. And this is when you step back, and you're stepping back too soon and you're giving wide open jumpers. I don't feel like there's any coaching involved in keep in mind, Joel Embiid started playing basketball when he was 18 years old. He learned the game in about 3 years. He's not a master of basketball. He's really not. He's an incredibly naturally talented, rare, species of human being, but he still needs to be taught things when it comes to basketball, clearly, especially defensively, because he's just the way he plays defense. Yeah. His drop coverage on the screens is insane, and I've seen it for years now, where all you need to do is hit L1. You know what I mean? You hit L1, you call a simple ball screen, and you're wide open. Yeah.
And I don't want to harp on, I don't want to only make it seem like it's Doc, because, again, it is partly the players as well. But just going back to your point about Joel, another thing that strikes me as just odd, Doc Rivers doesn't tell us until game 1 of the season that Joel Embiid essentially couldn't walk for 2 months. And then now after game 4, he says, I'm going to scale back his minutes. So first off, you had him playing 38 minutes a game for the first 3 games. Then you tell us that you're going to scale back his minutes. And then yesterday, you take him out with 4 minutes to go. I tweeted it out. I said, why is Joel Embiid coming out of the game with 4 minutes to go when you're down 8 points? And he came out for 1 minute, and everybody was screaming, oh, did you see how he looked? He was gassed. So what? It's 4 minutes left in the game. Like, this is a crucial possession, and you take out the only guy that was able to score at the rim. I just don't understand some of these decisions sometimes.
Yeah, I saw you say that, and I actually didn't remember seeing that happen. Maybe I was too busy, like, doing a 360 in my living room screaming about the end of the game, because I didn't actually notice him come out for 1 minute with 4 minutes left, and that is weird. What would actually be the reason for that? I remember a couple games ago when Doc took somebody out on a specific, like, possession with 30 seconds left and put Matisse Thybulle in the game for 10 seconds to try to get a steal or something. But what would actually be the reason for taking Joel Embiid out for 1 minute with 4 minutes left? I completely don't understand that either. And the plantar fasciitis thing, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. This is a classic standing in a room, the teacher's standing in the room with 4 school children. 4 of them are saying 4 different things. Somebody in this room is lying. Yeah. There's no way you fed us this all off season. Then you show up, you look completely out of shape, you look completely tired and worn down, and we're all confused. And then you come and say, oh, yeah, by the way, he had this all off season, so he couldn't work out. Why wouldn't you tell us that? So then the fans would, there's conspiracies on that too, that you wanted to feed the fans his championship hopes so you could sell a bunch of season tickets before the season starts. Yeah. There could be business decisions behind things like that too. So I don't know, but that somebody's lying about that, because that's ridiculous. Come out 2 games later and then say it, and now you're going to scale his minutes back when the first game of the season he had a 36% usage rating. If you knew he was out of shape and had a plantar fasciitis all offseason, would you give him a 40% usage rate in the first game? Nothing makes any sense.